Welcome to part two. We're just waiting for Adam to click on, which he should be doing any second now. I'll send him a text, shall I? Here we are. Here we are. There he is.
Oi, oi.
Women love him, men want to be him. How are you doing, Adam?
Flying, pal. Flying.
Yeah,
Thank
you
you
were,
very
you
much.
were saying there in the part one regarding why the fighters feel the need to explain themselves when they cross the street to earn a crust.
Yeah, look, I get why they feel the need to do it because they don't want to poison the well or at least the old well that they were getting water out of. I get it. I'm more saying I have a problem with that's where the sport is, where even if you were with someone that shafted you from the word go, I'm not saying, look, I don't know the specifics of Maxie Hughes and stuff, but I'm talking more times than not, boxers are promised certain things, promised certain purses, whatever the case may be, and eight, 9 times out of 10 they get stiffed. Um, yeah, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that when that does happen and they do get stiffed, they feel the need to, have respect for these people. Again, it's sad. That's just what the sport is. It's a sad indictment, pal. No doubt about it. Hopefully we get away from it. But
Dave Allen never got over that, really, did
no, no.
he? And you know
Um,
what? Dubois was there for taking as well, wasn't
it was good timing. It was good timing. I think to quote you, I think Dubois has grown a bit of an asshole or an arsehole since then. A bit more at least.
he?
I think he was a lot more green behind the ears back then. So it could have been a time. And that would have been a career changing one for him. But it wasn't to be. So
Yeah, speaking of heavyweights, you know that one that's gone under the radar that people are like about, Bakador Jalalov, 14-0, 14 knockouts, age 29, 6'7", Uzbekistan, double world championship gold, and the last Olympic gold, super heavyweight.
geez, he looks like an absolute unit of a fella, doesn't he? Hey?
He's another one that's gone under the radar, but now people are now saying he's the real deal.
Yeah. I mean, looking at his pedigree, it's just undeniable. Obviously, the amateur game and the pro game are different. Everybody knows that. But if you look at this guy's height, his frame, his weight, he's got 14 wins all by way of.
Yeah, all on
Uh,
but the moment. Guess who his promoter is?
Tell me.
The Bob father.
Oh, who else? He has some eye for a 90-plus-year-old man. Hey,
He's
he's a
always
good.
there or thereabouts, isn't he?
He
Sat in,
is.
sat smoking weed in a Shackleton's high seat chair, like Doctor No, zipping about all over the place, isn't he? He's the Bond villain, isn't he?
He is. He is. He's like the Bond villain that you like. I love that line of his back in the day. Do you remember they were grilling him? He did two press conferences, one day after another, and he said, "Yesterday I was lying, but today I'm telling the truth." It's such a good, it's such a line. It's such an accurate line about promoters. Um,
Well, I reckon this guy's another B2B, for bone crunching power.
yeah. Um,
So
he,
beware for him to be swerved by our lot.
Big time, pal. I mean, when I hear Uzbekistan, it reminds me. Do you remember your man? Do you remember the fellow out of the Sopranos, that Paulie and Chris try to kill? Do you remember the Russian out in the woods, the Chechen? He killed all the Chechen rebels, and the
That's
boys
one of
get
them
lost.
jobs, isn't it? Yeah, yeah. That all that over remote control, Paulie Walnut.
A universal remote. Oh man, some
Yeah,
episode.
yeah. What if I can imagine him? Yeah, Christopher says, "Yeah, out there stalking us," and Paulie goes, "What with his cock?"
Oh man. What did Paulie say? He's on it. Put the universal remote down. He says, "You're probably wiping your ass barehanded."
So they shot him back at him, but they couldn't find him, could they?
Oh mate, that's such a clinker. Do you remember too when they're asked?
Lost his shoe, didn't he?
Yeah, they're asking him to dig the grave. He's saying, "You think this is cold? I wash my balls in ice water." Oh, it's fucking brilliant.
That's an
No,
ocean job, isn't it? One of them, isn't it?
yeah. Look, from one photo, this strikes me as a fella that washes his balls in ice water as well. So, proceed with caution. The one thing I'd say about big heavyweights that can punch, man, we've talked about Frank Sanchez before, where technically he's obviously, he's a very proficient guy, but his style won't put asses on the seats, at least for the casuals. If a fella has 20 wins and 20 knockouts, fans, they're, you know what I mean? They're just going to put up a fuss. Why isn't this guy going in? So there'll be more pressure on the promoters to make the fight. But we saw it with AJ and Wilder, where people are still talking about that fight. Yeah, it should have happened 5, 6 years ago. So no, people will swerve him, but I don't know, mate. If you're good enough, like you look at certain guys, like even Usyk. Usyk, as much as we love him, you can't tell me that he's a commercial dynamo. He might be in Eastern Europe, but like in the US, he isn't. But he's so good that he's undeniable. There's a lady, she's retired now. She's known as the greatest female MMA fighter of all time, Amanda Nunes. She retired after her last fight in the UFC. And, she had a very quirky personality. She was, I wouldn't call her a weirdo. She seems like a nice lady, but she was a bit quirky. Um, so same thing. She wouldn't have fallen into like a box office star from, let's say, the way she talks, but she was just so good that they couldn't deny her. Do you know what I'm saying? Um, so hopefully that's the case with this fella, if he's as good as his resume looks now. Um, but I'm looking through now. Last one against Chris Thompson, he was 12-5. Um, this fella, he hasn't been fighting roadman killers as a pro yet. So let's see how he goes. Let's see how he goes.
Yeah, yeah. It's going to be an interesting one, that isn't it?
Yeah, but it's good. It's good to have new fellas coming through the door, because like you say, this fella might be overlooked, but who doesn't want another better Biev? You know what I mean? Like that's heaven. So hopefully, hopefully he keeps pushing forward.
Yeah, let's hope so, eh?
Yeah. Um, Tell me
Uh,
this. Sorry, go
oh,
ahead, Paul.
no, I was going to say, these Eastern Europeans, I've asked
Mm-hmm.
this many times. What do you think the secret is?
Um, I
Where are they
think.
getting this power from?
I mean that's a good question, man. Hard to give a straight
We
answer.
know they live and breathe it, don't we? Is it just from living and breathing it, and just from general hardships? Because it's cold out there, isn't it?
I would like, if people are being negative, right, for the sake of it, people are always going to go to, oh, this fella must be on drugs and that fella must be on drugs, right? That's the easy out.
They
If
need
I'm
to go
looking,
down the train, don't they? And that, yeah, and have a experience it.
yeah, but if you're looking at a glass half full, we've talked about it, like Golovkin, these guys, like this. That's a tough way of life. Obviously, we all know what happened down through the years with the world wars and all that there. But like, even if you look at like the Eastern Bloc, like the Soviet Union, the forming, there was a lot of hardship came out of that too. Countries getting split up, civil wars about, who owns what. Sure, it's still going on with Russia and Ukraine until today. So that's a tough place to grow up in. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
there's a comedian I love. His name's Joey Diaz, and he talks about the immigrant mentality in terms of, you see these guys that like move to America, either boxers or in the UFC, and they don't acclimatize at all. They don't try to. They don't try and become more American. They don't wear the sunglasses. They don't do the trash talk. They just come in and they're themselves. You know what I'm saying? Like. And I think with like the top elite guys, better be obviously Golovkin. I know he's almost finished, but the Pete Golovkin, obviously Lomachenko. I know he wasn't like a power merchant, but he was an epic fighter. Um, I think these guys they're able to open their eyes are in a harsh environment, both physically and mentally. And I think probably a lot of the softer guys probably perish, and we just see the diamonds at the top of the sport. So I would like to think, man, it's uh it's the environment they were brought up in, you know. Tough cookies everywhere, man. You got to be tough to survive. So that's what I would think and hope, for sure.
You know, like their training regimes, because for them teenagers, oh 06 year or whatever, where they're from, they were like swimming in like rivers that look like, like roads driving by, they had all that slush,
Yep.
that you get next to grates and in edges and all that nonsense.
Yep.
And you've got this river and them like swimming in it.
Oh, mate, it's that's what I'm saying. They're just naturally tough, you know. And another thing that I don't think that anybody talks about enough, if you look at, like testosterone replacement therapy, we talked about it last week, but that's legal now if you're outside of boxing, if you're just a normal man and you've got the money. But if you talk to any testosterone expert, the first question every single one of them will ask you is, do you drink? That's the first question they'll ask you. The point I'm making is booze naturally depletes testosterone. I don't care how much weight you're doing, like I don't care how many weights you do, all the rest. Like the likes of Usyk and stuff, that fella's not putting fucking alcohol into his body. And I don't know if he ever drank, you know? So how much an advantage is that? Like imagine like never having taken a sip of sauce in your life. That's a huge advantage, mate. And these are the small details that I think a lot of people overlook. You know, I know he eats a kebab or two now and then, but these boys just a different mentality, man. If you're going to put it in one sentence, it's just a different mentality. And all these wee small wins along the way, they eventually add up to where you look at a Usyk at 38 and he just looks like a bull, you know? So I think it's mentality, and I think it's
It
just
better
a
be
bit,
even 39.
oh, mate. Jesus, he nearly looks scarier now than he ever
Are they
did.
eating these people? Are they on the tackle? Do we need to bring dripping tap back from the out from the coals?
Maybe that'd be a start, pal. Maybe that'd
Maybe
be a
needs
start.
to give us his assessment of Rusek and Better Beef dripping. It's a rally call from the pork. You're welcome back into the circle of trust now.
That's up to you, HMP
Thinking
Porkville.
about
Maybe it's
we're thinking about making you a member of the commission, Drake. But we need a detailed report on Beta Beef and Usek. Are they on the tackle? Yes or no?
Jesus.
What do you think?
I like to say no. Maybe I'm being naive and all the rest. But I say no. I say
Is it
no.
because they just train harder? And like people, Paul Smith, do you see Paul Smith saying, well, when I was like that, when I was 38, which only about 4 years ago, or 39, whatever he was saying, I never had testosterone levels that high. Not even when I was fighting. Well, we know you didn't, Paul.
Mate, exactly. But this is the exact point I'm
Paul
making.
Smith comparing his testosterone levels to our Beta Beef,
Give
who's
me a
doing like
break.
50 press ups on his wrists.
Mate, it's like it'd be like
Wrists
racing
don't do
be like
on.
racing a Fiat Punto against a Ferrari, that comparison, you know?
Did you see when he jumped on that thing and did 30 straight chins?
I didn't
30
see it.
wide grip, 30 wide grip straight away. Hey, Bunny, I know you're listening. Can you do 30 wide grip straight away? Beat a beef can.
Oh,
30 wide grip.
Paul,
Right?
we go back to it. I'm assuming the better be if now he says he's never drank. Let's take all the alcohol, let's just take Paul Smith, for example. Like if you had a room for each lad and you put all the alcohol, I don't know if the fella's a big drinker, but you get the point I'm making. If there's a fella that's never drank in his life, and then you're like, well, my testosterone's never been that high. Yes, because this fella has lived like a Spartan since he's been out of the womb. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I think these fellas get so used that the likes of Better be Evan Usyk and stuff. These fellas train so hard from such a young age that their priorities change. Like, for example, if you're doing 16-hour workout days, you're either working out flat out, you're getting trained, you're helping out other lads in the gym. These lads just look forward to getting home to their wives and getting home into a nice warm house and getting into the shower. These lads have different priorities than other fighters. Other fighters are like, oh lads, it's almost a weekend. We'll get out in the tear. We'll go to Vegas. We'll do this. We'll do that. I think these boys enjoy a simple life and home comfort. And if you do that, mate, for your whole life, the proof's going to be in the pudding, you know? Um, so I just think it's a different mentality from top to bottom. Um, and again, maybe I might be naive, but I think that's the secret sauce. I don't think it involves any of the scary stuff. So
Oh yeah,
I'll stick with that.
don't you? What do you think to this situation with Crusher, with him calling everybody out about fighting?
Yeah.
No,
Um, I think it's all hype. I don't think, excuse me, I don't think any of the fights are going to happen. Like I know obviously Tank has come out this week and said as much, you know, he shared the email that Hearn sent them 10 million guaranteed and all the rest. I don't know how many, I don't know what fight deal he's on, but I think they'll give him one more, you know, layup for want of a better term, and then they'll probably try and get him in with somebody half decent. But no, I don't see him fighting a an elite level fighter next time out. Like if you're Eddie Hearn, I know we talk about cashing them out, and maybe I'm contradicting myself a wee bit, but Hearn did an interview the day before the Dobson fight. And he said, like, word for word, he just said, with all these names Conor Ben's been calling out, he needs to knock this fella out within 3-4 rounds max. And then, look, I know he has to change his spiel after because he's a promoter first and foremost. I get that. He's trying to protect his fighter. But then after he's saying it's good that he got her rounds and stuff. My point being is, if Hearn does put him in with an elite guy next, Hearn's not a boxing fool. Hearn knows that 98 times out of 100, Ben's going to get, you know, finished. And if he gets absolutely schooled or absolutely flogged, it's very hard. It's one thing trying to sell an alleged drug cheat, but it's a completely other thing trying to sell an alleged drug cheat that just got smashed to bits. Do you know what I mean? So I don't think Hearn will put him in.
they've got no to fall back on, saying, well, he's undefeated. He's just doing his job. They can't fall back on that. Well, they can't
No,
even say he's a puncher now because
it's gone.
he's turned into Big John Fury, big fighting man, feather duster man. He's turned into a feather duster man, hasn't he? Like John and Tommy Fumbles.
Yeah. No, it looks very much different. Again, we'll give him one more crack at the whip in terms of give him one more crack at the whip. He can have another fight that he should supposedly be smashing the fella, you know, get his cards in order, get his head right, whatever things Eddie Hearn wants to come up with. I'll give him one more, but if he doesn't look half the man that he did against, you know, Vargas, Algieri, Van Eerden in his next one, then yeah, it's very hard to make the argument, you know, like so we'll see, man. But I don't see one of these elite fights happening next time. No, no way.
So
Um, no, I don't think so, man. I think you probably have one more kind of medium level fight. Probably be a step up from Dobson. But no, that's what I'm kind of thinking since. Are you talking about sorry, one second, Paul. Talking about that matchroom stable, um, what do you make of the Subriel Matiz signing recently?
that's that top amateur, isn't it?
Puerto Rican fella, hands of stone, yes, sir.
Is that how they're going to promote him, do you think?
I think so. I mean, look, in fairness to the fighter himself, very exciting, great style. You know, I am a fan. I'm not gonna just start hating on him because he's with Matchroom. He has one defeat. He rectified that. I think if you put him in with a Haney tomorrow, he loses. You know, he's got power. He could win. Um, but I think this is kind of how they'll promote him. I have a theory, man. I think I think that they're going to feed Regis Prograis to the dogs. I think they're going to match him up because Prograis on his final fight of his matchroom deal. He's on fight number 3. The first one in Orleans against Nick or Paro was a stinker. You know, people are saying it was the worst fight of the year. That was in New Orleans. Obviously, he got schooled against Haney last time out. I think that Hearn, if he doesn't, maybe they give Matthias an easier fight first. But I think Hearn will try and close one door and open another one. That's what I think. Could be completely wrong, but I don't think Matchroom re-sign Prograis, and I think they'll try and put him in against Matisse to get. I think Matisse will beat him at this point, but we will see.
Yeah, what did you think to Tony Bellew's tweet he put out that it was a post and that he tagged in one person, that Triple T, Tea Towel Turkey, and because he's just been voted the most influential man on some poll
Hmm.
as number 1. I don't know who started the poll, but and Tony's endorsing it and all that. Do you think there might be uh, people trying to get in to be his number 1 kind of thing? Because if Fury's off at scene, where does that leave Bricktop? Do you think Eddie might be trying to get him into position?
Yeah, I think so. I think it probably came from the top down, i.e., I think Eddie was probably saying to him and Barker, whoever else, if you get any chance to give Turkey Al Sheikh props, do it. Look, it's unsurprising from Bellew. You know, recent form, last couple of years. It's not a surprise. Look, think what you want about Saudi, and I know it's all been financially based, but it is hard to dispute that they haven't made a splash. I know Fury and Usyk's been cancelled twice. That's not in Turkey's hands. You know, he has look, he has made a big splash in the sport, no doubt. Do I think it's a wee bit of overkill? Bellew putting it out there? I do. Um, but you know, it's hard to deny the Saudis a bit of credit. Would you agree with that or not?
No, they've got to be given credit, but so far, people losing their minds over these heavyweight fights, but we haven't seen an undisputed yet, have we?
No,
Right? And
no,
all we've seen are fights that people who are in top 15.
yeah,
No, but
yeah.
that's just run of the mill, isn't it? Kind of thing, what you say?
Oh, completely agree with that. Wholeheartedly. I think it has been overblown. I think Bricktop and Hills have to, every time they get a chance, you know, this guy loves his boxing, the blah blah blah. You know, they're trying to stay in the good graces. I think that they are reckoning, look, the fighters that they got to fight, that was impressive. But the fights that were actually put on, um, look, it's easy with hindsight. You know, they weren't that great.
Timori against who is it? Ergovic.
Oh, Kurgovich, that was a travesty. Like that wasn't even a bad fight. That was a terrible fight.
Well,
Um,
I thought this was supposed to be hashtag game change.
I know, I know.
But
There's still,
what's annoying me is the actual
yeah.
tonguing of this Triple T guy from all of them, from Tyson, from his old man. I don't, it won't be now. From
Hmm.
Spencer Brown, from Bricktop, Eddie Hills, Spotty Frank. The
Yeah.
tonguing from these people is off the charts. The Gad, God,
Hmm.
it were unbearable in that photo. The
Hmm.
old and then around that guy. Oh, listen, the tonguing is off the charts. These are grown men, by the way, grown ass men losing their minds over somebody that's got money to burn. And there you go, and it has a knock-on effect to where you've got people 60-year-old wanting to fight in Saudi.
Mm, I agree. It's been it's been massively overzealous from the usual suspects. But my grandfather used to always tell me if I'd ask him a question, he said, what's the answer to 9 out of 10 questions in life? And his answer is money. All of this tonguing, in my opinion, it's all powered by the lads all wanting part of that big bag, that big Saudi bag. And until that money dries up, those tongues are not coming out of any assholes anytime soon. Look, again, they definitely deserve a bit of credit. When I've heard Turkey Al Sheikh speak, I'll give him credit. I like these, I like when he was able to speak on that, with that freak show of a press conference when they were all on the Usyk and Fury and stuff. The man is passionate. I'm not here tonguing him or whatever. I'm just saying it does seem like he genuinely loves boxing. The boys have overcooked it. But if we get Usyk Fury on May 18th, and then we get Better Biev Bivol in the summer, which is booked, and then if they manage to get like a big lightweight fight, like if they manage to get a Devin Haney versus I don't know, a Tio Lopez or something like that before the tail end of the year.
Loma.
Yeah, or absolutely, I would love to see that rematch. I'd love to see Loma get some of that Saudi money. He's been unfairly treated in boxing, in my opinion. If they could finish out the year with 3 belters like that, it'll change my opinion vastly. But that day of reckoning has been massively blown over. Again, respect to them for getting all of the fighters on one card, but the actual fights, in my opinion, they were overcooked in terms of the press and all they got. But we'll let them finish out 2024. If they get those first 2 at least, it'll be a big achievement. But they're saying now they want to get some of the lighter weight fighters out of there too. So if they can get a Devin Haney out there, it will be good as well. So let's see how they continue.
What about a Saudi belt? Would it mean ending all these commissions if we just had one belt that rules out all of it? Would these commissions disappear, do you think?
They would. Yeah. They yeah. I mean, when YouTube boxing was at its absolute highest, i.e., before the Tommy Fury, Jake Paul fight out in Saudi, my worry was that if things kept going the way they were, because look, everything now is about content on YouTube. All of these young kids, they've got 50 million followers, 30 million followers. My worry was that the boxing belts would become inconsequential, where a guy like Terence Crawford would make, 10 million guaranteed to fight. But a guy like Jake Paul would make 20 million guaranteed just because he's got all the followers. Now, it's died down a good bit since, thank God. But a Saudi belt, forget YouTube boxing, a Saudi belt would end all. Boys would be dropping IBF, WBAs, they would be dropping them left, right, and center. So, yeah, that would be a big spanner in the works. But I think, honestly, man, we talk about these belts, we talk about undisputed. Like, you look at the way the WBC conduct themselves. I think maybe a shake up of these belts would be a good thing, Maybe it would, because the sanctioning bodies have I'm not talking about all of them, but like the WBC especially, they've gone to the dogs completely. So maybe it'd be like Live Golf, to the PGA, where now the PGA are starting to get more funding and people are putting in money again. Maybe it would be a shake up that would be good for the sport overall, because everybody looks at the sanctioning bodies as a joke now, or most people do,
Yeah, what do you think of these fights? Yard
Hit me.
Boatse
Hmm.
and Leewood Warrington.
I like Yard Boatse a lot.
Is it
Uh,
pay-per-view?
no, it's not. It's not. Um, no, it's not, man.
The great chief support on a pay-per-view, though, isn't it?
It would. Yeah, it would. But we've all become disillusioned. Like, do you remember when Bricktop said it on Catterall? Do you remember at the event, whatever event that was, and the boys were recording and stuff, and he was sticking it on Catterall? They started breaking down what points Bricktop had a problem with and the fights that happened. Do you remember what did he say? He said they've promised a champagne, but it's been warm lager.
Yeah,
One of the fights that came up in that argument was Joe Parker versus Joe Joyce. And, Catterall brought it up and he said, no, that was a great fight. And Bricktop said, yeah, great fight. So they kind of passed over it. But there was one point about that fight that nobody questioned. That fight was pay-per-view. That fight, even though it was a cracker, it should not have been pay-per-view. I know they were stuck I know they were stuck domestically for pay-per-views. I get it, and this was before TNT or BT got bought out. But Joe Parker versus Joe Joyce back then, what was it? Whatever it was, 20 quid. I'm sorry. I like both guys. But that fight, what do you think that should have been a pay-per-view?
No, I don't think it should have been a pay-per-view, but you know what? We were starved of action for that long that it sort of went under the radar, didn't it?
It did, and that's what I'm saying. Like, if I wasn't when that point got brought up, I was like, well, Catterall's obviously going to ask him why it was pay-per-view, and it didn't come up. Now I know he was getting pelters from right, left, and center, but in my mind, that should never been a pay-per-view. But given where we're at today with how boxing is, it probably does fall into a domestic pay-per-view. Um, but no, look, I think Yard versus Boachi is a very good style matchup. You've got a aggressive, come forward fighter with, minimal amateur experience versus, a polished boxer who, people have accused Boachi of being boring. I don't really buy into that. I think, whatever. I think he's a very accomplished boxer.
He's patient, isn't he?
He is, man. He is, and he knows his craft. Like, I don't want to hear about this boxing. I love the sweet science, so do you. I think it'll be a good matchup, you know what I mean? Like, there could be fireworks if Yard can get close. So I would like to see it. Like you said, maybe a co-main event of a pay-per-view. Um, I would like to see Wood Warrington. I mean, my love for Lee Wood probably sways me to say that it is a pay. Look, it's a domestic pay-per-view. Just because every time Lee Wood shows up, he does the business one way or another. I would like to probably see Warrington get one final cash out as well. I think he has been good to the fans overall. Going back to fighting Lee Selby when he was an underdog and then going in there with Frampton, obviously broke my heart, but great performance on the night. Warrington has walked the yards, so I wouldn't mind seeing him get one final, decent payday. So if that had to be a pay-per-view, again, I wouldn't argue that much. Probably my love for Warrington makes me biased, my love for Wood. But
Yeah.
I would like to see it.
Josh Warrington, Lee Wood, that's just a pay-per-view, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, just scrapes through. Like again,
Conlon is though, wouldn't you? Conlon Lee Wood's a pay-per-view.
it is because of how many it would sell. Like the following Mick Conlon's got in the Republic and in Northern Ireland. The guy's a national treasure. Everybody loves him. Back to when he was calling Iba out in the Olympics and stuff. And he had look. Yeah, I've been disappointed, not at him. I've been disappointed about how his fights have gone at that top level. Obviously his last fight against Jordan Gill, or people wouldn't have said it was a top level fight, but he lost. Obviously, I wanted to see him win a world title, but people still love Mick Connell, and he's a great guy. He's a good ambassador for the sport. He handles himself brilliantly, so that would sell well. That would definitely sell well. Obviously, Lee Wood has a massive following as well in the UK, so it probably falls into that just pay-per-view as well. And same for Conlon. I don't think his pro career has gone the way he'd like, so I would like to see him get one last. If he does get beat, I would like to see him get one last, decent payday. Um, so yeah.
What do you think to the Jordan Gill, Dave Caldwell, boxer size Ben triangle?
I'm not fully familiar, if I'm honest, but what is he working with two trainers or what's the insinuation?
He's not with Caldwell no more, is he?
Oh, he moved to Mr. Davison.
Yeah.
Okay. I know you don't rate him, and I know we've only got 5 minutes, so we don't really have to get into it too much. I rate Ben
I
Davison.
don't rate it. I'm not saying I don't rate it. I'm just saying, he's took it by storm, so we've got to give him credit now. Well, he's
Yeah,
not, because I just thought he's a bit young in it to be. I thought he was going to be whipping boy with Tyson. We messed about and that, but he's stuck at his craft and he's getting his rewards. And obviously, he's got out of jail a few times with Lee Wood. But what an exciting fighter! If that's his trainer on the night, he's got to take credit.
yeah. Like I'll be honest, I rate Davison. I always have. Now when he teamed up with Tyson, obviously, like you say, young guy. We didn't have much, he didn't have much of a coaching record at all at that top level. Um, I think that's exactly what Tyson needed at that time. He didn't need a Freddie Roach. He didn't need an Emmanuel Stewart. He didn't need a Dundee. He needed somebody that was going to bring him back mentally to want the box. And you can't deny Davison did that. You know what I mean? He got the weight off all the rest. So I think he might have functioned more as a life coach than whatever. But anyway, that's what Tyson needed. I know boys have joined Davison and they've jumped around since. But you listen to any Lee Wood interview, anytime Davison's brought up, he's like, I've said this a million times, you know, trainer fighter matchups are weird. He goes, Ben Davison's my guy. I love him. I trust him 10,000%. I mean, let me put it to you like this. If Lee Wood didn't trust Davison 10,000%, he wouldn't have taken the first Lara fight. If he didn't trust him 10,000%, he wouldn't have rebooked Lara 1. And if he didn't trust him 10,000%, there isn't a hope in hell he would have went in there for Lara 2. So, you have to give him props. Obviously
Yeah,
both, you know what I mean? So,
we give Ben boxer size Ben stick, haven't we, on here? Because he's, because of his Brillo creams hair and his cringy videos, but he's stayed off of YouTube and learnt his craft. So you're welcome to do interviews again now, boxer size Ben.
yeah, he's got that. He loves that greasy wet look, doesn't he? Hey, he's slick back. He loves this big time. But
It's
no,
like
look,
it's like some other wham in it.
it is. Oh, it is for sure. But no, look, we'll see. Again, look, the trainer fighter matchups, like, there's no 2 + 2 = 4. All those pair ups are different. But you know, Lee Wood's been an undeniably good fight. And I mean, look, it's only one fight, but whatever he's done with Joshua seems to be working too. I know we'll know more after the Ngannou fight. But again, if we look at this from just a mental standpoint, I'm not saying Joshua went in there and showed us anything from a physical standpoint we'd never seen, but he looked confident. He stalked Wallin. He he punched in bunches, which we hadn't seen him do since, you would argue maybe before the Klitschko fight. So whatever Ben is doing, from a guru point of view or, whatever they're doing mentally, it works. So we'll see. Can you imagine? I don't know if there's any clause in the contracts. Can you imagine AJ and Tyson end up fighting? Can you imagine if Ben Davison was in the AJ corner? Ooh, that'd be fiery, wouldn't it, pal?
That'll be what?
That'd be fiery, like it'd be controversial. You know what I mean? It'd be some full circle.
Well,
Considering like
a good script, wouldn't it?
it would.
Could you imagine Eddie be waxing lyrical, wouldn't it? Wouldn't you? You'd have big John Fury there, big fighting man. 10 year out at Nick, it'll be by this time that this happens. It'll be, I've been 10 year out at Nick, nobody wants to challenge me.
Oh man, I tell you what, whatever you think about either character, Fury or AJ, that press tour and that build up with all the parties, that would be the end of the bubble because you've got Hearn, you've got Hunk, you've got Big GK, you've got AJ.
It'd be like Ali Fraser though, wouldn't it? Because they both got miles on Ali Fraser free, it'd be like, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would, but it would be a closing of the door for this era of not just British boxing but of the big global push. Because like, look, Canelo doesn't have many fights left. Bud Crawford said like he wants to get out of the sport sharpish as well. In the next 2 or 3 years, we're gonna see a lot of these pound for pound guys sail off into the sunset. And I know we've got plenty come. Oh, we've got some good fighters coming up. We've anyways a pretty young guy, and you have Boots Ennis and this and that. But I hope we see AJ Fury, if not for the fight itself, that might be a wee bit overcooked, just for big hunk with his t-shirt off and Eddie getting pelters from Tyson, and it'll be a laugh, mate. No doubt about it. So let's just hope.
All right then, mate. Well, listen, thanks for coming on, Adam. You take care.
Pleasure, bud. If it's no earlier, I'll see you this time next Sunday. All right, brother.
All right, you take care, pal. Bye.
Good man. Thanks, Ross. Bye bye.
Well, that were Adam from Ireland. He lives in San Francisco. Women love him, men want to be him. Thanks for liking and subscribing and leaving a comment. Good night.